Representative for South and Central Asia, Brendan Lynch, has begun the trade talks in New Delhi. That's the story we're tracking very, very closely. The US trade representative, remember, is in India, and trade talks have now begun. Going across to CNN News 18's Aman Sharma, who joins us with more details. There are several comments that have been made by the likes of Peter Navarro, people who have been making it to the headlines for several notorious comments. That said, this is big news, especially one that favors trade talks between India and the United States. Ever since the 50% tariff came into effect, Aman, how do we look at this, and what are the kind of meetings that are going to take place the next few hours?
Well, Kritzween, yes, the Assistant US Trade Representative, Mr. Brendan Lynch, is in India. He's begun his talks with his counterpart, the Special Secretary in the Commerce Ministry, Mr. Rajesh Agrawal. Both of them are the chief negotiators for either countries, and Mr. Lynch has been on a tour of the subcontinent. He was in Sri Lanka a couple of days back. Yesterday, he was in Bangladesh meeting Mohammed Yunus, interim head there, and today he's in India. He's going to be here for the entire day. We believe it's a one-day visit, and this is, I would say, like a first physical meeting, in-person meeting after the 50% tariffs kicked in August. Obviously, a forward-looking movement here. Mr. Lynch is here, and though India is not describing this as another official round of talks, this seems to be more like a preparatory meeting for the next round of official talks, which are also expected soon. This could set the contours of how India and America move ahead in the trade talks. It has been positive because since those 50% tariffs came in and the team didn't come on August 25th from the US as was expected earlier, now Mr. Lynch's presence in India and his day-long talks could open, I would say, a new hope that both the countries can move ahead, as Mr. Piyush Goyal has also been saying, that both the countries are extremely satisfied with the progress of the trade negotiations. We are expecting the first tranche of this deal to be signed sometime in November. So this particular talks which are happening today are extremely crucial in that regard. Also, Mr. Donald Trump and Narendra Modi have had conciliatory exchanges on social media in the last fortnight or so, expressing hope that the trade deal very much remains on track, though the US has been clearly saying that it's not happy with the Indian purchases of Russian oil, and that is why it's justifying the 25% extra tariffs on India. In fact, US has also prevailed upon in a way on the G7, asking them to put additional penalties on countries which are importing Russian oil. US claims it has got approval from the G7 also. Let's see how these talks go on during the day and what the result is.
A couple of follow-up questions, Aman. I'll come back to you in just a few seconds. We need to pull out these visuals that we've accessed in the latest. Brendan Lynch, Assistant US Trade Representative for South and Central Asia, arriving at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in the national capital. And these are visuals that we picked up just a short while ago. So we'll keep up with these visuals for a while. Aman Sharma continues to stay on with us. Aman, you're telling us these are one of the many initial conversations that are going to take place, which essentially can be seen as the beginning of the stalled trade conversations owing to the 50% tariff by the United States. Given the latest comments that have come in from President Donald Trump threatening China, for instance, with a 100% tariff hike, and this simultaneous softening of stance, is that being looked as a big positive here in New Delhi, especially owing to now this high-ranking official also making his way to the national capital?
I think the conciliatory statements which came from Donald Trump, it was initiated by him, and to which our Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded to on social media, both sides saying that they're looking for an early conclusion of the bilateral trade deal. So that has been the sentiment ever since these talks started. In fact, when the two leaders had met in the US earlier this year, both leaders have set out a timeline by the end of the fall we should have a bilateral trade deal. Now, Mr. Piyush Goyal very clearly saying a few days back that all this remains on track. We are expecting the first tranche of the deal in November and maybe the final early next year, and this is what the timeline on which we are working in. I would not say that the trade deal negotiations got stalled. There was a blip, certainly a blip, because of this 50% tariffs coming into effect on India from August 27th, and India clearly terming them as unjustified, saying that there are many other countries in which China is the biggest importer of Russian oil. In fact, US keeps on doing trade with Russia as well. So India was questioning the double standards at that point, but since the conciliatory statements for Donald Trump have come, he's called Mr. Narendra Modi as his very good friend. He's also the new US ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, is expected also here in a month or so, also said that Prime Minister Trump is looking forward to for the next Quad summit, which is to be held in India. So these conciliatory statements, I think, have eased the nerves, and that is why the arrival of Mr. Lynch in India for these talks today, I think this will set the stage for the next round of official negotiations. The government is not calling this an official round of negotiations today, but this particular talks, I believe, could be an icebreaker in a way to set the round for the next round of official talks. It remains to be seen what all both sides can achieve, because India has also been, very insistent on certain things like safeguarding its agriculture sector, its dairy sector, its fisheries sector, to which the US wants entry in. So clearly there are a lot of areas which needs to be thrashed out. We'll have to wait and see what happens in these talks. But the arrival of Mr. Lynch in India today, meeting his counterpart in the Commerce Ministry, is definitely a positive sign. These talks are expected to continue for the next couple of hours or even more today at the Commerce Ministry.
Okay, many thanks, Aman, for getting us all those details. With